Ladies and gentlemen, the coin says the game's gonna suck. I have no idea how well or badly this will age, but it's going to be one or the other. So, I've said this before. I have no actual presumptions walking into this. Too many people have said too many things in too many directions. This is a Last Jedi situation, for those of you who are around for that discourse. Too many people were saying it was the best thing ever, and too many people were saying it was the worst thing ever, and nobody was actually talking about the freaking film. So, right in the middle, no presumptions. But you probably want to hear some behind the scenes. I want you to know that this is like the most summarized possible version of this. And that's good because I'm already getting interrupted. I thought we were done. I thought we were done. Why would you do this? Why? I'll put that towards the Mega Man Battle Network. Little Hearts and Dealer's Choice. Thank you, Blue Dragon EXE. I do always appreciate you. No more donations. Okay. Oh, where do I even begin? Where do I even begin? All right. Let's start with the big disclaimer. As of this moment in time, I'll go ahead and say this for the VOD. This is February 25th, 2026. As of this moment in time, we still don't know all the details. We still don't 100% know what actually happened behind the scenes. We have a lot of information from a lot of people, some of which conflicts it, some of which is not confirmed. So if you know my approach, what I like to do is I like to only really report on the stuff that I am reasonably certain of. I like to do my due diligence. That's a fairly common thing for me. However, there's this concept. Someone else came up with this term. I wish I had come up with it. It's called triangulating on the truth, right? If Giga says this, and Command & Conquer says this, and Terra says this, of the three of them, you can kind of triangulate on, like, roughly here's the truth, right? And that's what I had to do with this one, because, Jesus Christ, was this a mess. So development of Dragon Age 4 started in 2015. For those of you not aware, this game came out in October of 2024. The original game was codenamed Joplin. It was focused entirely on this. This is actually something we're pretty certain of. There was a big series of heists, and depending on who you talked to, who you interacted with, in what way, there was going to be a fairly noticeably branching narrative. It was going to be more branching than usual for the Dragon Age series. So it was going to be like a shorter game, but more depth to it, right? That was the approach they were going to go for. It was going to be set within the Tevinter Imperium, and we even actually have some build-up for this. Some of you probably don't even know about this, but there were two comics that came out. One was called Dragon Age Knight Errant, and the other was called Dragon Age Deception. What you may or may not have noticed is that while Knight Errant fully came out, Deception got chopped off after issue 3. That's because both of those two comics were a lead up to Joplin, the original heist story, and then they changed their mind. So somewhere around 2017-ish, the exact timeline is vague, so forgive me about this. Somewhere around 2017-ish, there was the live service push. Most of you remember the live service push because and I'm going to be as nice about this as I can, from a layman's perspective, the live service bubble is still going. But anybody aware knows that the live service bubble actually popped back in about 2019 to 2020, right? Yeah, PlayStation still has not recovered from the live service bubble popping, among other things. It's had a fairly large impact on the industry. So EA obviously was right at the front day. It was just like, yeah, let's go, let's have a live service game. That led directly to a game you've probably heard of called Anthem. That I should also probably mention that just for a little bit of perspective, if you're wondering why there are games that are still coming out or still being worked on now or within the last few months that are still live service, despite the fact that the bubble burst like 5 years ago, the reason why is because development time is a long thing, and most of those games got greenlit in 2019 or 2020 in the midst of what's usually referred to as the COVID bubble. Now, I know what you're thinking. What the hell is the COVID bubble? This is relevant to Dragon Age, so I'm going to mention this. But this is mostly like a little anecdotal thing, just so you have a little more info here. The COVID bubble, it was a very strange situation. So COVID hit, which was a global pandemic because people wouldn't stop licking each other's eyeballs and wouldn't get vaccines. And as a consequence, a lot of companies were starting to have issues functioning. And a lot of governments across the world started freaking out a little bit. And so there was some short changings and massive reduction in interest rates, which led to massive overborrowing and overspending. Now, some companies, Nintendo, saw this and realized this was a temporary situation and basically said, just keep on keeping on, stay the course. Most other companies, including Sony, but also Microsoft and of course EA, and among dozens of others, hired tons of new staff. Ubisoft is guilty of this as well. Hired tons of new staff and started greenlighting tons and tons of projects, right? Because they're just swimming in all this safety money that was handed to them by the government that was there to make sure that they could keep the doors open. Then the COVID bubble burst because COVID subsided as a pandemic and all of those interest rates went back and all of a sudden people were starting pulling in on bonds and securities and saying, hey, and yeah, if you remember why, about, I want to say 2 years ago, but also this was still affecting last year, tens of thousands of people were getting laid off all willy-nilly. That's why. Anyways, so you can see how this is relevant to Dragon Age because this game was, well, so it was, they had already shifted to a live service model. And they're like, yes, let's go for a live service model. Let's do it. And then they flailed for about 3 years in the live service model. If you're paying attention, at this point, the game has already had one revamp, one restart of production. To our knowledge, there are at least 3. If you asked me my professional opinion, I'd say we're looking at closer to 5. But I don't want to get too much in the weeds on that, and I don't have a lot of evidence, just more like the way that people talk about it and the way the production cycle shifted. Because 3 years adjusting a branching heist game into a live service game, there's a gap in there. Anyways, so the big shift happened. A bunch of people were laid off. They lost Laidlaw in the middle of this particular restructuring. And, yeah, exactly, King of Pudding. And this then led to something, and I am amused about this, but here we are. So you know how a lot of people mention how EA is dumb and stupid? Until the Saudis bought them, I actually went to bat for EA many times because EA was one of the better of the big companies out there. Like, they actually took care of their frickin' employees. They tried to not fire people when production went down and instead just to restructure things. They would make stupid decisions, but then they would try to fix them. It's not much, I'm not going to lie to you, but they were some of the least stupid and way less evil than a lot of the really big companies are, like Tencent or Ubisoft or 2K Games or Sony. So, I mentioned this because EA, all the way back during the bubble, when the bubble hit, EA recognized that the live service thing was crashing, that it was already on its way out. And so after Anthem absolutely bombed, EA reverse-coursed hard and went back to single-player games. Another thing that has been mentioned several times as a big influence here was Jedi Fallen Order, a game that was just mentioned earlier. Because Jedi Fallen Order moved units. It's also a good game, which helps, but the point is it sold extremely well, and the EA actually freaking noticed. So they said, all right, enough of this live service crap, let's go focus on single-player games. Now, what's amusing is there's still EA about it. So they reached out to the BioWare staff and said, hey, no multiplayer at all. Rip it out. So we're up to our second major overhaul now that we know of at this point in time. Now, this was also kind of terrible. So the mandate came down, rip out all the multiplayer, back into a single-player game. Not a single-player RPG. Just a game. We'll be kind of hands-off about this. So here's the problem. There's this issue. I've actually discussed this before. Let's say Evo is working on a game, okay? Now, let's say it takes Evo 18 months to make a game, okay? Now, if you know that you have 18 months to make a game, You can budget for that. You can plan for that. You can think about what kind of targets you want to hit, where you want to focus your time and attention, etc. Right? But that's if you know you have the full 18 months. What if you're told you have 9? Then when you don't hit that line because you've spent 9 months frantically doing something, we say, okay, no problem, I'll give you another 9 months. I was always planning to give you the extra 9 months, but I didn't tell you that up front. Now imagine you go through that a minimum of what we understand 4 separate times. Because the total development time of Dragon Age 4, once they hit this last overhaul, was about 18 months. But they were not told they got 18 months. The original time was 9 months, and then they upped it, and then they upped it, and they upped it. But you see how this is awful, right? Because they can't plan for something they don't know exists. They can't schedule, they can't design, they can't manage. All they can do is just blindly work and hope for the best, right? Yeah, by the way, 9 months is less than Dragon Age 2 got. And remember, Dragon Age 2 had an infamously small development time. We don't even know exactly how long. So, 18 months. Now, everything I've told you about at this point is actually extremely well documented. Then we get really, really vague. This is when information starts to vague it up. I honestly believe there's some NDAs involved here, because people just sort of stop talking about details right about this point in the timeline. Cool. But here's what I've been able to suss out. First of all, there's the budgeting thing I already mentioned, and they were having issues with that. Then the Voice Actors Guild strike hit. That caused some problems. Then they brought in the Mass Effect team in order to finish up the product. By the way, these are the same Mass Effect elitist dicks that were screwing over the game all the way back in Inquisition. Remember that? Because I talked about it extensively during the Inquisition run. So that's cool. There is a decent amount of evidence that this is our third and final confirmed restart of development. There's also, as I mentioned earlier, conflicting information about whether it was more than 3 restarts and blah, blah, blah. But just to be very clear, when I say 3 restarts, what I mean is going back to the board 3 separate times during development, which means 4 iterations of the game. I also want to share this detail because this is just hysterical. I'm just going to throw some names at you. Doesn't matter if you really know too much about this. So Dara resigned. That meant Daly took over. Then Goldman left, who was replaced by Epler. Then Daly left, who was replaced by Corin Hull and Mac Walters, who then left to have Dara come back in order to finish off the product. All of that happened in the space of about 4 months. Some of you remember that. I was covering that, actually, when it was happening, because I was paying attention to the behind the scenes of this game, as I often do. That's why we started the coin thing, remember? So, then the Mass Effect team came in. I actually already mentioned that. And then the game finally came out. Woo! It came out. We're cool. And then about 50-ish people on the team were canned. Just fired outright. And then about 3 months after the game came out, it's almost to the day, all post-launch work on the game was completely canceled. BioWare was fleeced down to, I think it's like 13 developers total, and across the entire studio. And all of those people are, even as of this moment in time, still working on Mass Effect 5 over in a corner somewhere with a box of scraps. Now here's the funny thing. Dragon Age 4 sold pretty well. It was actually pretty hard to find concrete data on that, but I was actually able to nail down 1.5 million sales. Now, if you know me and you know how development works, you know that 1.5 million is actually pretty solid. 7 digits is good. But the problem is they don't think about it that way. So let me explain something here. So, yeah, 1.5 million in a couple of months is actually really, really good. But let me explain something here, okay? So the game was in development for 18 months, right? Counting the fact that there's almost guaranteed the third restart in the middle of that 18 months, right? Okay. So based on that 1.5 million is something that in reality land should be budgeted towards the 18 months, right? You spend the amount of money you spent in 18 months, you make back 1.5 times sale of game, right? Which is a decent chunk of change. That should be a game that is profitable. That should be a game that's awesome. But that's not how they do that. Because what they actually do is they put that budget against the entire development cycle. Which I remind you, was 9 freaking years. 9 years of paying salaries and development costs and hardware costs and pulling in the voice actors and doing the editing and all the other fun stuff. Yeah. That's, So from their perspective, it was a colossal bomb. And on that bombshell, we're done. No, okay. So, before I go any further, I'm going to do a couple of things here really quick. We're going to fire up the game. I actually haven't launched the game yet. On purpose. There's DLC? What? There is. There's DLC. Oh, God. It comes with cosmetics. Not buying that. So I'm staring at a black screen. This is a good sign. This is a great sign. It went to full screen, which is always awful. And I'm staring at just an empty black screen. Nothing is here. I'm pulling a DSP. I'm narrating the game. There's black. There's infinite. Okay, hang on. I got a loading thing in the lower right now. It's doing a loading animation. Okay, I have a cursor. A cursor now exists. Oh my God, there's a photosensitivity warning with no ability to acknowledge the warning exists. Okay, we're compiling shaders. Okay, cool. Cool. That's terrible. That is a terrible launch time. We're 12%. All right. Let's just hang out here. It's always automatic. I never add that, Lord Paramount. Yeah, I have an extremely good card. I have one of the best cards that is reasonably obtainable right now. I also have an extremely good CPU. Go figure. We're at 17%. Yay! So anyways, I'm going to give this a negative because this is silly. No, I'm sorry. This is silly. It's like, I can accept this for certain games. This is not one of those games. We'll put this under bug because it's lack of optimization that leads to this. While we're here, though, I guess I'll say shoutouts and thank you to all the people who donated for this game. O40I2, 2 Base Master, Azmira Star, Bastily Stripes, Ben One Eye, Bionic Punk, Blue Dragon EXE, Bragwin, Cadence 26, Caspian 73, Chill Pangolin, Croatia HF, Psycloud, Decastus, Dame Celeste, Duralis, Dragon Blair, DZ Maven, Ectglug, Epic 1, K, Evo Iliani, Feverish 09, Frieza 2000, Game Geek 5698, Gayporg, Get Judas, Jinja Ninja, Gonmon, Gray N7, Gigapudding, Immortal Slime 88, E319, James Hogan 19, 219 in a row. Jeffrey Cheney, Jesse's Mask, Johnny Bigby, Judo Joker, Kenix Cow, King Venom Mui, Colgrim, Loke the Night Reaper, Lola Moss, Lord Harrimont, Lucas Slaughter, Matt Overlord 23, Mook GB, MPPY, scrolling the screen down so I can see the rest of it, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton, Mr. Red 97, Nimbus, Noctis Exol, Novan, Off the Deeper End, Paintress 1133, Pancake 70, Panka 98, Pika 251, Raximus, S.A. Ross, Savacom, Sign of the Emperor, Shadow Machine, Sonashi, Synthelius, Tar Hunters, TSB, The Nobody, The Warcraft Code, Tonic the Dog Tour, Tsunami Salami, Twister 11, Umbral Magnus, Unicorn Scotch, Venters, 616, Von Falkenstein, Walker 02, Wenlock, Zar 387, Zeiss, Zophie, Person who put this game on the list, which is Doom Rider 5.6, 913 days ago, by the way. And our majority stakeholders, which include Blade Trevall, and I gotta look for these. Evo was one, I actually didn't say that. So was Immortal Slime, and there it is. And Valerian Wraithwall. That is 84 people. That's a lot. that's a couple. And like I said, it took 913 days, which is actually kind of low, all things considered. Like, that got funded in a hurry. This is a curiosity. So Expedition 33 had 700. So more people want to see this than Expedition 33. I'm proud of you. Awful Block was 76. So once again, this is more popular. Okay, the Resident Evil block had 91. So that wins. But this is in the second place now with 84 as a reminder. Oh, hang on. Double checking, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be it. I'm not sure we have anything that beats. Oh, actually, there was War Within, which was 104. So we're third place now. Yeah, I think that's it. So War Within with 104 people. Oh, excuse me. And then the other one I've already forgotten. Oh, yeah. Resident Evil block with 91. And then this with 84. Is it done? It's over halfway done. Thank you very much for the sub, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. Give me one moment. I will jot that down. That will go towards Baldur's Gate 3. Witcher 1R, and so Witcher 4 is soft vetoed right now, so if you want to pick something else, let me know. It's vetoed for the moment, is what that boils down to. A blind I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing. So, nothing about Witcher 4 indicates that it's going to be a good game. Nice. I dislike the direction the company's going. I dislike the direction that the game is going. But much more importantly of all, it's a really big game that is in limbo. And I've learned my lesson. No more big games that are in limbo until they're closer to actually being released. So that's what a soft veto means. It means, not right now. We'll see. There's a couple other games that are like that right now. I've only recently started using the soft veto, so I don't blame anyone for not knowing about that. So I'll put it towards Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 instead. Yeah, no more VTMB2. I'm done with that. Oh, I think it's up. I think it did it. I think it finished. Oh my god. Perfect. It mutes when I'll tab. That sucks. BioWare is technically dead. I saw someone comment that they wish the entire BioWare staff would be fired, which is funny because they were. You did it. See, I got the purple tie. See. So, somebody killing you, I think, asked what I feel about the rest of the franchise. Why don't I just pull up my old Ye Olde website here really quick? Let's see here. There we go. Dragon Age. So, Dragon Age Origins. Golden number of 310. Dragon Age 2. Golden number of 59. Dragon Age 3, golden number of -4. Actually, it's funny you say that. I just realized I put together a graphic for this. Yeah, there it is. I already have it. It's not. So yeah, here's the arc. The golden number of each game and the average of the whole franchise. The reason it keeps trending down is because technically 4 is at a 1, but just ignore that data point for a second. So check it out. There's the Dragon Age series so far. It's, what's really funny to me is all 3 of these games, all 3 of them, have a pretty big asterisk. It's just the size of the asterisk increases with each game. Dragon Age Origins asterisk is skip most of the DLC, right? Skip Awakening, skip some of the other stuff like Golems of Amgarak and stuff like that. That's fine. Dragon Age 2's asterisk is stop playing the game the moment you finish Act 2. Dragon Age Inquisition's asterisk is skip almost all of the side content, like all the open world stuff and all of what I refer to as secondary content. Actually, I've made it for every franchise I've covered with Dragon Age. So, yes, would be the answer to your question. User agreement. I agree to my soul being ripped out of my body. Been used in the Saudi Arabian mines. Why is this so stuttery? Oh my god. Okay. Oh, Jesus. This is just frostbite, isn't this? Oh, God. Okay. Okay. Let's get rid of the motion blur. And let's get rid of the camera shake. I'll look at key bindings later. Mouse acceleration off. Yes. Controllers off. Is that everything? That looks like everything. Alright. Continue. Graphics preset. Let's crank it! Well, no, let's do custom. If it's going to let me do custom. Are you going to let me do custom? Why aren't you letting me do custom? Let me do custom. Why won't you let me... You see, I set it to custom, but there's no options! Why can't I set it? Okay, hold on. F-scale mething. No, get rid of that crap. None. Get rid of that nonsense. NVIDIA Relix off. Anti-aliasing, it's whatever. Render scale is fine. Dynamic resolution scaling, sure. Ah! Oh my god, this delay is terrible. Target frames per second, 60! Thank you. Turn that off. Okay, here we go. Lighting quality ultra, contact shadow ultra, volumetric lighting, sky quality, ray tracing. No, I'm good. Oh my god. You can't see it, but there's this awful delay on every input. You probably just noticed it by virtue of the fact that I just toggled the wrong option. Because I tapped up and then left, and it didn't... Like, look at that. Look at that. Look at that delay. Oh my god. Okay, let's off. Super ultra high. Crank. Depth of field. No. Bloom. No. Vignette. No. Motion blur. No. Thank you for letting me turn that off, game. I appreciate you. Looking for that option. Oh, there it is. Mute while minimized. Oh my god, I got alt tab. I'm free. Yeah, this actually is the Hans Zimmer estate. Which I have to say that way because did you know that Hans Zimmer is actually more of a company and less of a person? I didn't find that out for years. Listen, motion blur as a toggle, I'm fine with. Motion blur as a mandate can go directly to hell. Okay, sure, whatever. I don't know what any of this means yet, so I think I'll just ignore that. Accessibility, what do we got? Nothing really interesting here. Okay, whatever. What else we got? Nudity on. There we go. No, these are good options. Plus the gameplay. Hey, the quack. I guess at some point I have to hit new game, don't I?
I knew him as soulless. Smart, thoughtful, loved to hear himself talk. But long ago, he had a different name. The Dreadwolf. Ancient elven god of lies, or heroic rebel against tyranny, depending on which story you believe. In his desperate fight against the corrupt elven gods, Solus imprisoned them, creating a veil that split our world from the raw magic of the Fade. He had won. But the veil cost the elves everything. Their magic, their freedom, even their immortality. Now, Solus wants to tear down that veil and undo the damage he caused, even if that means our world has to burn. Somebody's gotta stop him. And that's where you come in.
You should probably play Dragon Age Origins to back. Okay, so I want to argue a negative to sprite work. It's one of the only things I knew about this game. They look wrong. The Qunari, very specifically, look wrong. Everything about that looks awful. I was kind of holding off on that until I saw it for myself, because screenshots don't always tell the whole picture, but the moment the Qunari guy, gal, whatever, walked on the Steam, I'm just like, what? No. I'll debate the others. How do I back off? Oh, God. Yeah, game. There we go. The others, I mean, okay, they all look bad. But the Qun look... So, yeah, negative for sprite work. Moving on. Qunari. Yeah, I actually unironically think the Arashok is the best-looking Qunari we've ever had over in 2. Although, I did rather like how Iron Bull looked in 3. So we can be human, elf, dwarf, or Qunari. So, I don't want to throw up in my mouth every time my character pops up, so we're not going to play Qunari. That doesn't leave a lot of options, really. They didn't have the horns in 1 because of lack of ability to think through the difficulties, is how I'm going to phrase that. It's a good point. Can we be a mage as a dwarf? Nope, nope, cannot use magic. There it actually says right there. Well, yeah, it's not actually engine limitations, because the excuse they like to give is about the helmet thing, but there's several asterisks to the helmet thing, and they actually have horns on several characters in Dragon Age Origins. So the real answer is because they hadn't properly thought it out, hadn't even designed what the Qunari were yet, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah. No, the elf looks weird. That's not just me, right? That's just... God, they all look very strange. The dwarf looks okay. And that's as high as I'm going there. Okay. Human looks okay. Okay, I take it back. Yeah, I wish like Huthor was here, because I know he actually works with this kind of stuff, or Zero Hunter was here, because I don't know enough to know what is wrong about what I'm looking at. If you put a gun to my head and said figure it out, I would say that their rigging is wrong. Like the actual rigging of the connecting points for their bodies is wrong. Like their bodies are strange. Yeah, no, like the proportions are off. And I don't just mean like because that's a dwarf. That's not what I mean. I mean like all of them just look wrong. Unfortunately, dwarf does look best. But of course, I have to play a mage. It's tradition to play a mage in a Dragon Age game. So we can't play a dwarf. And elves look terrible, and Qunari look vomit-inducing. So that leaves one option. God, tell me it's not just me, please. Someone tell me that it's not just me, that they just look wrong. I'm not even talking about the skin. The skin looks terrible. The skin looks plasticine. Okay. Let's customize. Let's try to do something. Could I at least get to hear their voices before I decide? Please? Do I get to hear the voices anywhere? Anything. Anything. Yep, sure, whatever. Yep, yep, that's great. Cool. Playstyle, yep, Voice. Hey, there we go. Let's hear our voices.
I'm
glad you're here.
I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad you're here.
Alright, hold up. That delay, I don't know what's up with this freaking delay. I hope it's a temporary thing. Okay, so that's Alex Jordan, Brian E. Corrigan, and presumably other people. Oh, here we go. Jeff Berg and Erika Ishii. Unfortunately, I don't know any of those names. I was hoping for like a name I recognized and I was going to use that, but I don't recognize any of these people. What are you in? Nothing. Okay, what are you two in? Yeah, like this is unironically how I decide what gender I tend to play in all of these types of games. What voice actor do I like the best? Unfortunately, most of these people have not been in a lot of works. Wow, okay. Well, I guess I'll just go off of preference.
I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here.
I think we'll go with masculine one.
Glad you're here.
So let's go back. Back. Okay, so. Let's play a dude, and let's customize. Sure, whatever. What's really funny, Omega Legion, is did you know that all of the figures and variables for keeping track of the keep, to Dragon Age Keep, are actually in the game? They're not, they're just, well, I wouldn't say they're disabled. Nothing points to them. But all the variables are there. No, they're not used at all. 18 months. No, it looks wrong. I don't have a better way to phrase that. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Oh my god! So, Dragon Age Keep, so let me explain this. Evo is actually probably better equipped to explain this than me, but look at that, it's so terrible. When you do Keep, what it does is it punches out a list of variables, and then it gives an answer for each variable, right? So, romanced Liara, yes, no. Killed Pillars of Snow, yes, no. Hugged Bragwin, yes, no, etc. And it just goes down the list, right? I'm not keeping this face. And so, the Dragon Age Keep was kind of a asterisk to try and make that work. Because if you remember, Dragon Age Origins didn't save most of those variables. Oh, they were there, but like it didn't really have a thing in the code to track this down. So the only way to actually do that, logically speaking, would be to go through manually. And they decided, rather than do that, why don't we just go ahead and make the Dragon Age Keep for Inquisition? So for Inquisition, you'd go through the Keep, you'd set up all your variables, and there you go, you'd output that. And then once it got imported into the game, all of those variables would then be able to be used by the game when it says, hey, did this happen, such and such. Make sense? That was your import. That was your continuity. So all of that data exists. All of those variables exists. Nothing calls them. So it's like, no, the keep was a legitimately good idea. I actually do like the keep for what it's worth. So all of those variables do exist in Dragon Age 4. Nothing calls those variables. So, I mean, the keep should have been a software that came with it. Let's be honest with ourselves. I'm trying to make something that doesn't look like a illumination character, and I'm failing at it. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to be too negative here, but this, I'm just going to be very honest. This looks like garbage. This looks actually terrible. I'm just going to drop the joking for a second. This looks abominable. I am going to say, without hyperbole, that I think Dragon Age Origins had better looking characters than this. And you know how Dragon Age Origins looked. It definitely looks worse than Inquisition. Uh, uh, well, no, this is something I've talked about lately, and admittedly, I've kind of... I swear to God, I'm just slowly getting more and more anti-modern graphics. In my defense, I'm not anti-modern graphics, I'm anti-bad graphics. See, the problem here, and this is me being sincere for a second, the actual problem here is that there's been this slowly escalating war for 30 years, I'd say, at this point, about trying to make games look better and better and better and better and better, while simultaneously they're war against the people who want to make games cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Okay. Tokyo Extreme Racer, Naruto, etc. And Halo SPV3. Thank you, Game Geek, as always. No, I have said this before, and I'll say this again. We peaked with Red Dead Redemption 2. And I've gotten to the point now where I appreciate design more than I appreciate fidelity. I know fidelity is not technically the right term. Obviously, fidelity can apply to design. Point is, design is something I find more important. And that's why I can say, without hyperbole, that when I look at a Dragon Age Origins character, for the most part, there are exceptions, I think they look better than this. I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not being exaggerative. I'm not trying to crap on the game. I actually think they look better because they had more design to them. Yeah, Warcraft actually hit a certain point on that line too. Let me make my point really quickly here. Give me a moment. Of course it's a WebP. I hate WebPs. Does anyone actually like WebPs? Does anyone in the world like WebPs? The answer is no. Nobody does. There it is. Let me make my point really quickly here. You see this? Of course, it's too big. Easy pick for me. Honestly. I'm sorry. I'm not being facetious. I'm not being exaggerative. I'll take that over the other one. I mean, yeah, even the head size relative to the shoulder width and everything else just works. There are other issues. Now, he's just an ugly. There are other issues with the models in Dragon Age Origins. For example, every female in the entire game has the exact same model. It's not as exaggerated as it is in 2, but it's still there. But it's still at least a model, right? It's still a model that works and fits. And I could come up with a picture for character creation and prove that it works that way, but yeah. I don't think that's worth anybody's time. I think I'm just going to jot down some negatives here and move on. Yeah, that's what I thought. Alright, do we have, like... It is amazingly frustrating to work with Bluebell. In fact, I literally can't work with it. Every time I see a WebP, I immediately take a picture of it and save that picture as a PNG that I can actually work with. I hate WebPs. That's what I just did, actually, to grab that picture of Duncan. I'm gonna stop staring at this. So Evo asks a really interesting question, and for this I'm going to cop out. I'm going to go look up my own review. You might even say it's the oldest review I ever did. October 8th, 2020. What do you know? Alright. We'll give one positive and no more for the character creation options. I'm just going to give up on this. I'm just going to call this a lost cause and move on. So what else have I got? Oh, I got hair. What can we do for hair? I actually liked how Meryl looked back in Dragon Age 2. I specifically say Meryl. I don't remember any of the other elves. Oh, that's fair. I liked how Fenris looked, too. This is a dude. I suppose dude is gender neutral. This is a male. Now, contrarily, I think Isabella looked terrible in Dragon Age 2. Now, she didn't look good in Dragon Age Origins either, so that's whatever. Oh my god. No, that's it. That's it right there. This is us! This is us! Oh, yes. Yes, no. We're sticking. We're actually sticking with that. We're actually sticking with that. Thank you, Surging Phoenix, very much. Hey, I love Isabella as a character in Dragon Age 2. Don't even give me that. Don't even give me that. She's actually one of the better characters. Yeah, guy tends to be a gender-neutral term, too. Now, ironically, both tends to be more gender-neutral when you use them in plural. If I say, hey, guys, there's plenty of females in chat right now, right? But I can say, hey, guys, to all of you. It is a gender-neutral term. I'm not being facetious. This is just English. Surging mix. What's a female? Female? Female. There we go. Female. If you know what you want to put there towards Surging Phoenix, please let me know. Yeah, my dudes. Okay. Do we have pink? We have pink! We have pink! Yes! No notes. There's no fixing the face. I have given up on the face, okay? I have given up on the face. So, no, we're not fixing the face, because there is no fixing the face. You know what? You know what? Yeah, no. I think that works. I think that works. Oh no, we could oh yeah, we could increase the saturation. Hang on, let's go back to the hair. Oh yes. I am happy now. Dragon Aid Veilguard. Hang on. I've got some prefabs here. I'm looking for prefab? I'm not seeing any prefab. I probably shouldn't be blindly looking up mods for a game I know nothing about. If you want to share a mod for someone's, like, prefab, I'll look at that. How's that sound? I see no issues with this. I see no issues with this. What's this scalp? Oh, that's whatever. Okay, so. Let's actually get rid of makeup. No makeup. No makeup. No notes. No makeup. But you didn't link me any, Colgrim, so they don't exist. Do I have any okay, we have no blush on. We have no lip makeup on. Okay, we're good. Oh yeah, we gotta get some scars. I am my scars. Do I have, like, more scarred than that? That might be the most scarred. Sure. Dr. Winter. Get nice bloody marks there. This just looks like someone got in a dirt fight with him. Yeah, I'm not actually really impressed with this. I don't mess with you. So we'll do more scars, just in solidarity. Body shape. All right, what do we got? Body shape. All right. Oh, boy. I'm sorry. This is me in real life. That's not true. I have more muscle than that. So like up here maybe? No, I still have more muscle than that. I don't look that thin. Oh Jesus. Somewhere in here. I mean, that looks better, Colgrim. I'm not sure I agree with the good part. Um, what's this? Oh, oh God. Oh yeah, there we go. That's our mage. No, I like that. There we go. Perfect. Or we just do like normal, kind of like here-ish maybe. We'll go with that. Behold. Aw. Let's make it a little darker. Alright, human male. I'm looking. That is better. I can't argue that. Well, don't you love the scar? Actually, I don't care for the scar either, legitimately. Let's get rid of the scar. That's dumb. I was trying to hide the face more, but that's just like... It looks like someone splashed paint on his face. That's not a scar, right? And then there's like speckles, and that's just... What is this nonsense? What is this? What is this? This is crap. No. No scars. Yeah, someone spackled some ketchup on him. Okay. Yeah, let's just do a few double checks here. Oh yeah, I gotta change the eye color, obviously. Heterochromia, because everyone in fiction has heterochromia. Very bloodshot. Oh my god. Character creator's fine. I gave it a positive. I don't know what you want from me. Oh, yeah, no, that's even perfect. There we go. Oh my god, look at him. Look at his eyes. Look at... This is just me. This is just me in real life now. This is just... Oh, Jesus Christ, Evo. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I will destroy you. Oh, we don't have fancy colors. We'll go with green, like really green. And then even more green. And then even more green. There we go. There we go. There we go. We got the fade going through our veins. I do like the variable iris colors. How many positives would you give this, Evo? Well, you answer that. I might eat a couple too many carrots. What do y'all think? Oh, yeah, I need to look at eyebrow options. That's not what I said, Evo. Eyebrow, here we go. I mean, okay. I'm in a weird place. Because I unironically think that the visuals of this game, of character, look bad. Like I said, dropping all joking for a second. This looks like trash. I have seen PS2 games that look better than this. The amount of options are extensive. Like, you have plenty of options for how to make your terrible PS2 character look. And so, how do I review that, right? I mean, Star Wars Galaxies. I'll use another example of a game we will never review, because I can't. Star Wars Galaxies, for those of you who don't remember or know, I actually kind of like those ones, had an absolutely insane level of customization for its characters. It looked like ass, but it had tons you can do with it. Okay, so we've got, like, teal and pink. Like, what don't we have represented? Like, orange? Ah, it's not popping against the skin tone. Maybe like black? No. I'm not sure we can have like a third color, really. I'm not sure a third color exists. I could try the red. Just straight up red. I think it's as good as that's getting. That could be Plutonia. It's the kind of thing that they probably could have fixed if they were given the time to do so, which of course they were not. See, the white looks too much like it's just teal again. Now, let's just stick with red. What are you talking about, Giga? Alright, accept changes. Okay, so, next class. Mage. Not even gonna look at it. That's a joke. Of course I'm gonna look at it, because... So, Rogue specializes in Rogues can specialize in specific forms of combat. You can be a duelist, where you draw your steel, parry, and dodge. That does not fill me with good cheer right over there. Parry and dodge past enemies to gain strength with every strike. Saboteur, set the stage, deploy explosives and turrets that devastate enemies and pick them off with arrows. Or Veil Ranger, hunt the enemy, snipe enemies from afar using artifacts that charge arrows with dangerous magic. That all sounds terrible. Next. Warrior. Reaper, become the Knight's Blade, steal life and risk death to gain incredible unnatural abilities. Slayer, leap into the fray, wield massive punishing weapons while rushing enemies to deal devastating blows. Or Champion, be the shield, shrug off damage while summoning righteous fire on enemies. Okay. These descriptions suck. I'm going to be as nice about this as I possibly can. If this was a game that came out today instead of a year and a half ago, I would say these are AI generated descriptions. They're non-descriptions. They don't describe anything. Let's look at this sentence for just a second. Leap into the fray. Okay, so you're a melee. No information conveyed. Wield massive punishing weapons while rushing enemies to deal devastating blows. So you attack the enemy. Nothing is being conveyed by that description. This is not the only game that does this, it's worth noting. It's just, like, that is not helpful in letting me pick what I want to play as. Now, I do like the little visual. That's something. Deathcaller. Embrace the dark. Drain life from enemies and cast spells that ride the essence of death itself. Evoker. Call the void. Freeze enemies in their tracks and summon the deepest cold to tear them apart. Spellblade. Be the storm. Channel potent spells for close quarters combat infused with lightning's wrath. These are also apparently for specializations, which I don't even have access to yet. So this is unnecessary information in addition to unhelpful information. Whatever, I already decided I'm going mage, so mage it is. Boop. Okay. So I recognize two of these immediately. Rook is a veil jumper, daring group that explores ancient elven ruins in the Arlethan Forest. Although founded by elves, they welcome anybody, like this hobo. Close to the veil, gain reputation with veil jumpers more quickly, deal extra damage versus fade touched, deal increased crit and weak point damage. Shadow Dragons. A Shadow Dragon. The underground resistance opposes corrupt rulers and slavery in Tevinter. Coming from all walks of life, they determine to bring justice to people. Increased damage for the Venatori, and your class-specific resource generates slightly faster. Lords of Fortune. Nice outfit. An informal collection of explorers, hunters, and treasure seekers from the Ravane. The rowdy lords are famed for both daring exploits and narrow escapes. Increased damage versus mercenaries. Takedowns require slightly less effort. Mournwatch, elite necromantic order, exploring the mysteries of life and death, and tends to the undead in Navarro's sprawling Grand Necropolis. Increased damage to undead and demons. Can apply additional affliction stacks. The Antivans! We know what the Antivans are. Increased damage versus the Antom. I don't even know what that is. And hold an extra potion. And, of course, the Grey Wardens. Deal more damage to Darkspawn. Defense and health slightly increased. These also look more flavor than gameplay. Is how I would describe this. So we'll go with Shadow Dragons. The foundling Rook was adopted into a military family and joined the Shadow Dragons to fight from the shadows for change in Minrathous. While guarding a visiting dignitary who was investigating a slavery ring in the nearby city of Nessus, Rook concluded the mission would fail without throwing caution to the wind. Alone, he sneaked into the dignitary deep into Venatori-controlled zones and brought him back, along with the rescued slaves. These actions brought Rook to the Venatori's attention, and the Shadow Dragons decided to keep Rook out of sight. I have... Oh, this is difficulty options. So, difficulty options change, incoming damage, enemy aggression, tactical challenge, and defend timing. What the hell does tactical challenge mean? It does actually say that, Giga, which is nice. Tactical challenge is enemy aggression. Well, then what's enemy aggression? Change the parry window, the timing window for dodge, parry, and perfect defend. Enemy health, we'll crank that down. Oh, sorry, that's enemy damage. Sorry. Enemy health, we'll crank that down. Enemy aggression. How often enemies attack, how difficult they are to stagger. Enemy resistances are normal. Enemy vulnerability, normal. Face melee target? No. Oh, you can tell it's a console game. Which is another weird choice, but I'm not going to comment on. Yeah, I still don't know what tactical challenge actually means. But those are some actually good difficulty options. And they're even better if we can change them on the fly. First name, Bob. Fucking matters. Oh, yeah. So, we get to change a couple of things from our previous character. Sure would be nice if I could just import it, but whatever. Well, as it happens, I did play a night elf, an elf female. I don't care enough.
I won't let this stand.
I won't let this stand.
I won't let this stand.
Okay, so like... Okay, world state? World state. There we go. Hey! Did we romance anybody? Like, for real? I don't think we did. Because Cassandra is just objectively the best romance. And she's, you know, not into that. I just, in my head, I just thought, who is this loser? That's actually what I just thought. There's Josephine, who was amazing, of course. Pass. No romance. Next. Fate of the Inquisition. Disbanded, I guess? Vowed to stop Solus no matter the cost. Oh my god. Three import options. Three choices. I'm sorry. That is a negative. I'm sorry. That's... Wow. Wow. Okay. No, there's no keep at this point, really. There's just those three things. I actually already said that too, Tara. Not that you would listen to me, of course. But yes, people have already reverse engineered a bit of the game. There's, it's not even like vague stuff. We know details about how many things were supposed to be in this game and weren't. 18 months that you didn't know about. It's okay. Sandwiches are more important than me. Okay, so, God, I gotta think about how to score that. Guess we'll put it here. Yeah, but it's actually worse than that, Rex. Because this game was developed in 9 months, and then, okay, we'll give you a few more months. Okay, we'll give you a few more months. Okay, we'll give you a few more months. Okay, now the game came out. So it's not like they were told they have 18 months. They were told they have 9. I actually feel really bad for the developers of this game, especially since all of them got fired. Which, by the way, is one of the weirdest things about this entire story. Let me tell you a weird thing about EA. EA has had a long-standing policy for actual decades, right? To not fire people when they shut down studios or cancel projects. It's a policy I'm actually really in favor of. I've said this before. EA is actually pretty good to their employees, weirdly enough. And so, generally speaking, when a project gets shut down, the people who worked on it get shunted somewhere else, right? Yeah, they keep the talent. They readjust them or reassign them, but they keep the talent. It's very rare that EA would fire someone. Now, obviously, they did fire people during the post-COVID thing, which we already mentioned. But the fact that they canned the entire BioWare studio after this game came out was unusual. In fact, I do believe that's the second or third time that's ever happened in EA's history, where they just straight up canned an entire studio and said, you're gone. Like when they ate up Westwood and then Westwood died, all those people got reassigned or quit of their own volition to otherwise in the company. Like, but yeah, the Dragon Age team no longer exists. It was about 50 people, Crazy Norse, give or take. Keep the talent. I mean, yeah, seriously, get an ad blocker push-ups. Ugh. All right. I'm not looking forward to seeing what happens to EA under the Saudis. Because, I mean, do you know anything about the Saudi Arabian government? If you do, I'm sorry. If you don't look it up. So, for those of you not aware, one of the things I actually want to do this year is I want to review every EA game we have left on the list and just kind of get through all of them. Just push them off the board, you know. Almost all of that's older stuff, you know. Spore, Sims 3. You would not believe the hoops I'm going to have to run through to get Sims 3 running on a modern machine. I'm going to do it. You know, KOTOR, stuff like that. But yeah, let's just be done with EA for a while because yikes. Of course they do Blue Bulb. Everybody does. It's the way it's the way of the future. More or less, Aurelia. Yeah. Yes, Sims 3 is gonna be like, your graphics card isn't good enough, and I'm just gonna. Yes, I know Sims 3. It's okay. No, I know what you meant, Blue Bulb. Whatever. So yeah, done. Finalize. Yep. Yeah. Let's do it.
So, where were we? Oh, right. Him. Our best plan is to stop the Dreadwolf before he can perform his ritual. After following his trail across half the known world, we finally tracked him to Manrathus, capital of the Tevinter Imperium. But to find the Dreadwolf in a city this big, we need a local expert. So, naturally, our story begins where all great stories begin. With the seediest bar in town. And a missing contact.
Let's try this again. Where's Nevgalis?
You think you can come into my bar and make demands?
Look at me! What?
It's not a demand.
What?
It's an offer. Telling me what I need to know is the smart play here.
What?
How'd you figure, sweet talker?
Nevgalis is my only shot at finding the Dreadwolf. I need to know where she is. We were supposed to meet here, in your bar. But you let Venatori cultists drag her away.
I didn't let them. They paid me.
So answer my questions and walk away with the coin. Or spend it cleaning up the place when I'm through. Your choice.
You're adorable. Dumat Plaza. That's where you'll find Nevgalis.
Thank you.
You want to get yourself killed fighting the Venatori? It's your ass.
That offer's good for all of you too. No?
If they won't listen to you, they can always listen to Bianca.
Your friend Nevgalis is at Dumat Plaza.
I heard. That's why you're my second in command. Although for the record, you might be too charming for your own good.
What did I have to worry about? You were there watching my back.
Yeah.
Come on. Harding will be worried.
All right. Break's over.
I hope Nev's as good at finding people as you claim.
She's the best damn detective I've ever met. If she says she's got a lead on Solus, I believe her.
Yeah, that looks cool. I'll give you that.
The Archon's palace. Something must have gotten them riled up.
Should we be in more of a hurry to get out of here?
We don't want to look conspicuous. Just get out of here nice and casual. Find Nev Gallus and stop Solus.
No one would ever find me conspicuous. Oh, hang on. I should save. Let me save my game. There we go. Yes. Let's do this. I'll call this Evo is right. Yep. Hey, you know what? Hang on. I just realized I screwed something up. Hang on. Let me load that save really quick. You may or may not notice that's not where I saved, nor indeed at the specific time that I saved. So for those of you not aware, the saves aren't saves, they're checkpoints. You actually cannot save at a specific point. What you have to do is you save, and what it will do is save you at the current checkpoint that you're at. That's not great. Probably the only negative I actually had walking into this game. We'll put some question marks by that and see how bad that gets. Yeah, it's a checkpoint system, so there's no quick saves and there's no saving. Now, can you interrupt and restart conversations? Good question. Let's find out.
Khan's palace. Something must have gotten them riled up.
Should we be in more of a hurry to get out of here?
We don't want to look conspicuous. Just get out of here nice and casual. Find Nev Gallus and stop Solus.
You still think you can talk him down before he starts his big ritual?
That ritual is going to tear down the veil. The only thing separating us from the Fade and an endless number of demons.
Thanks for repeating yourself.
Talk him down.
Wait! But I didn't do anything!
Get down.
Are they after us? Is it because of the bar?
Word travels fast in Minrathous.
We've got to help her.
We don't have time to get arrested, especially if we... Oh, crap.
We're too late.
The ritual started. But if we hurry, we can still stop Solus before it finishes. Let's go! Harding's this way. She'll get us to Dumont Plaza, and Nev will get us to Solus.
Watch out! Is Solus summoning demons on purpose?
My guess is the veil is weakening, and they're slipping through the cracks.
When the veil comes down completely,
Then the whole world is going to look a lot like this. Come on, this way. It should get us to Harding.
You're safe now. Get inside and bar the doors quick as you can, okay?
Thank you, miss.
Harding, you all right?
I've been doing what I can to help. The ritual must be weakening the veil. There are a lot of scared people out here.
And a lot of demons. Haven't seen this many come through the Fade in years.
And what about you two? Are you okay?
We're good, but we need to move.
Agreed. Solus isn't waiting, neither can we.
Have you got my gear?
Right over there. Where's Nev Gallus? Wasn't she at the meeting point?
The Venatori got to her first. They grabbed her before we arrived and paid off the bar owner to keep it quiet.
I'm not surprised our detective did something to piss off a cult of murderous blood mages, but their timing stinks. The bar owner said the Venatori took Nev to Dumont Plaza. Can you get us there, Harding?
Rook, you're with the Shadow Dragons. I figured you'd know Minrathous better than I do.
Sure, but Minrathous is huge, and this is nowhere near my neighborhood. I can try.
Don't worry, scouting's my specialty. Follow me.
Eyes up. We've got company.
Demon. Here they come. I think that's the last of them.
Good. Let's get to Dumont Plaza and find Nev. You two all right? Patch yourselves up if you need it.
You are in violation of Imperial order.
Oh no, I think that's Dumont Plaza.
Crap. Let's move.
They're the ones who made trouble at the ball.
Okay, lol.
Predatory cultists!
Hold it close! Reinforcements should be here soon!
I hate these assholes. Looks like the Venatori put up a barrier to block the way.
More intruders!
Avenge our fallen brethren!
All citizens must remain indoors until the magical anomaly is fully contained.
Come on. Guess we're sliding down.
They're allies of Nev Gallus! Kill them all!
Tetris, the Venatori own these streets.
Is there a reason the Venatori have vampiric accents? Just wondering.
Another barrier. But it looks like Nev's work, not the Venatori's.
Yes and no, Blue Bull. If this is an exception, it doesn't bother me that much, Crazy Norse. Put simply.
Varric, hiding. Not the worst timing.
Nev, it's so good to see you. We thought the Venatori had kidnapped you.
They thought the same thing. A lot of Venatori in this city have reason to hate me. Figured I'd play along. Find out who wanted to settle the score this time. Then the sky started raining demons. So I'm back on the job.
Appreciate it. Rook, this is Nev Gallus, our local expert. She's gonna help us find Solus. Nev, meet Rook. Both of you have done some work for the Shadow Dragons.
Isn't that a coincidence?
Some old friends said if I was working in Tevinter, the Shadow Dragons are worth trusting.
Nice to meet you. Based on the Venatori, you've got excellent taste in enemies.
I do my best.
You said you had a lead?
I haven't seen Solus in person, but I did find hints of old magic, similar to what you get in Elven ruins. I traced it to a building beneath Our Lady of Victory. That's where your man is hiding.
Then let's go. Before this ritual he's doing gets any worse.
Worse, this ritual's already drawing more power than I'd expect from a dozen mages. You told me he was working alone.
I also told you he was an ancient elven god.
An elven god. Well, whatever he is, he's causing trouble in my city. Let's go.
All citizens in the canal district must remain in their homes.
Bad dialogue, by the way. They don't say the words "as you know," but that is "as you know" dialogue.
So if we do catch Solus, or the Dread Wolf, whatever he calls himself, what's the plan?
He wants to bring down the veil. Hopefully that ritual takes his full attention.
So we catch him while he's doing his ritual, so he can't fight us.
That's the hope. If it comes to a straight-up fight, we're dead.
We can slide down the line.
I'm getting too old for this.
There. That's the building I tracked Solus to.
Looks like the Venatori also found it. And then demons found them.
Enchantment on the entrance. I can get it.
So this is the Dread Wolf's hideout.
One of them, at least. Not sure how long he's been here.
Some of this looks ancient.
Solus has been around longer than Manrathus itself.
Broken chains. Solus is freeing slaves.
Solus hates slavery. One of the few things we actually agreed on.
He said the other elven gods were tyrants who oppressed his people. He was trying to help them.
What do you see?
No sign of Solus. Just a big glowing window or mirror or something.
Well, that sounds ominous.
What I was going to say is, that kind of exposition doesn't bother me, because these characters don't really know much about that, except for Varric. But, there's other parts of this I don't like. And yeah, the fact that we are just absolutely racing through the plot of Inquisition here. I would also cut it, along with about 50% of the dialogue we've heard so far.
Ancient elves doing something to a dragon, I think.
Yeah. Trying to control it, maybe?
Solus said the other elven gods were evil. If they were binding dragons, he was right about that much at least.
Look, it's only 6 gold. It's not like a sovereign is a big deal.
Demons.
I mean, that's in character, least of all. He actually gave himself away several times in Inquisition, too, if you remember. Because he couldn't help himself. Oh no, the hair physics makes all this worthwhile.
Then let's have a look.
Look at my hair. Look at my hair. I'm playing Shantae. I just whack people with my hair. Whack. Whack. Can I control party members? No. Which means we're going to be determining how good their AI is as we go.
This the big glowing window you saw earlier, Rook?
It's called an alluvian. They're elven and very old.
It acts like a doorway from one place to another. Solus uses them to get around quickly.
He must have gone through it.
Well, we're not in Minrathous anymore.
I know these trees. This is Arlethan Forest.
And there's your ritual. The power involved. We've never seen anything like it.
The tremors are getting worse.
And we've got demons.
I thought the demons were bad back in Minrathous.
The Fade's a mess this close to the ritual. No telling what could come through.
Does it feel like those tremors are getting worse?
Keep moving and try not to think about it.
Lord's paying attention.
We get tremors every time one of those big crystals at the ritual site lights up.
Not many of them left to light. Might want to hurry. Almost there.
Nothing compared to how many we'll get if Solus finishes his ritual.
demon this large get through the veil?
It's a pride demon. Damn thing probably sent some...
Everyone all right?
Good enough. Let's get to Solus.
All right. I'll take it from here.
Are you sure?
Positive. You three just keep the demons off me while I talk to him.
Varric, Solus isn't gonna stop just because an old friend asks nicely.
Solus needs someone to sell him another option, to help him justify changing his mind.
We've got your back. If anyone can get through to him, you can.
Thanks, Rook. Whatever else he is, he's my friend. And if he won't listen to me, then he'll hear from Bianca.
More demons!
Take care of the team for me. Hey, Chuckles. Hope I'm not interrupting.
Let's buy him some time.
I hope Varric is getting through to Solus.
We better talk fast. We can't hold these demons off forever.
The veil is a wound inflicted upon this world. It must be healed.
By drowning the world in demons?
I have taken precautions to minimize the damage, Varric.
Minimize the... People are dying right now. You need to listen. Please.
People are always dying. It is what they do.
Shit. We need a better plan.
Do you want me to take the shot?
Won't work. He's too powerful.
What if we disrupt the ritual?
How?
See those statues? If we break the scaffolding holding that one up, the whole thing will come down on Solus.
It's risky. Interrupting a ritual of this scale will have consequences.
And what about the demons? Varric needs us to hold them off.
Right, you two stay here. I'll bring down the statue.
What? No. Stepping into all that raw magic is suicide.
The storm could tear you apart.
Anyone got a better idea?
Fine, but you'll need backup. I'm with you.
I'm a mage. I'll go.
Either way, someone needs to stay back and deal with the demons.
Let's go, Nev. Harding, keep the demons busy.
Good luck.
all the lives it'll cost.
We shared a journey years ago. Do you believe that I would do this if there was some other better option?
The pillar's weak, but...
It isn't falling! We need to push it!
Right!
Together! Now!
You came a long way and made a valiant effort, Varric, but this story does not end with my downfall.
Push!
Aren't you both mages? Yeah, we all saw that coming.
Let's go! This way! This way!
Okay, it's a head wound. They always bleed a lot. I'll bleed more than that from shaving accidents. Okay, we did it, everyone. Good job. We just completely invalidated the previous game's ending. Yes.
You have no idea what you have done. Soulless.
I know what I did. I stopped you from destroying the world.
I was not destroying the world. When you disrupted my ritual, the magical energies pulled me here, into the Fade.
Okay, so that's why you're here. But why am I here?
Your physical body is unconscious, but you shed a few drops of blood at the ritual site. Enough for a tenuous connection.
Blood magic?
Firstly, I abhor the use of blood magic. Secondly, had I the power to control you, I would already have used it.
Alright, you brought me here to talk. What are we talking about?
The Evanurus, or as you would call them, the Elven Gods. The creatures that escaped. In ancient times, they ruled the elves, but that was not enough. They sought not just to be obeyed, but to be worshipped. When I rebelled, they drew on the horrific magic of the Blight, corrupting all they saw until I trapped them. Thanks to you, though, I am now trapped, and the blighted Elven Gods walk free.
Right, you were innocently doing nothing when we came along.
The prison in which I had trapped them had begun to crumble. I was moving them to another.
So you weren't tearing down the veil and drowning the world in demons and wild magic?
I had a plan.
Varric always said you'd have a big explanation for why none of this was your fault.
Varric?
Yeah, he said that's your style. Never quite lies, clever half-truths that let you convince yourself you're doing the right thing. He tried to talk to you anyway, and now he's hurt.
Varric is quite practiced at shading the truth himself.
So those things that got out, you said they were gods?
They said they were gods. Blighted, tyrannical, sadistic gods. It took all my power to imprison them millennia ago, but I am certain you will be fine.
We stopped you. We'll stop them.
I had a ritual dagger of pure lyrium. My network of mirrors could take me from the lighthouse across the world in moments. Right now, you seem to have neither. Do you intend to knock over a statue during their ritual?
Well, I don't intend to take advice from the elven god of lies.
Quite right. Elganan and Gillenane are your problem to solve. This is your responsibility now.
Why? Why tear down the veil?
Listen. You have no idea what you have done. This is your responsibility now.
Well, look who's still with us.
I appreciate you repeating the dialogue we literally just heard 30 seconds ago, game. I was falling asleep in the middle of it, and I might have missed it.
Varric? You're okay. But I saw Solus stab you. You fell.
Trust me, kid. I've had worse. It'd take more than a flesh wound to stop me. Don't think I'll be making it out to the field anytime soon, though.
Also, I was trying to snark. I've already run into a problem twice, and it's a really strange problem. I'll explain it very simply. So I look at those dialogue options there, right? And I want to say, oh, I'm sorry, Varric. So I hit 1. In case you missed that, it's out of order. And I've been paying attention. The ordering changes like every freaking dialogue. For some reason. If there was one thing that I actually liked about how Mass Effect tended to do this, it was always pretty static in terms of order. But here, every major dialogue, every dialogue where there's more than 2 options, is all over the place in terms of which number is which. So there's no standardization at all. So I will hit 2.
I should have come up with a better plan. I should have...
You worked with what you had. And you succeeded, by the way. World isn't drowning in demons.
It isn't over, though. We trapped Solus in the Fade, but something else got out. Something...
Rook, you've got this.
Do I?
I've seen your work. Like the time you disobeyed orders while taking down that Venatori slavery ring. There's a reason I dragged you into this whole Solus mess. You're clever, adaptable, and you don't know when to quit.
Rook, look who's awake. I've been searching the place for lyrium potions. Didn't mean to intrude.
Not at all. I was just about to have a look around.
Dude, I love the hair.
Oh, be careful if you go outside, Rook. It is a long way down. The Illuvian led us into something, and it's in the Fade. Because that's what we needed. The dream world.
Then I really need to look around.
Can't hurt. In theory. And we need to talk about our next move. Maybe find Harding? She went outside somewhere. There's a table in the central area here. I'll meet you both there.
Go ahead, Rook. Me, I need to sleep. See you later, kid.
Dude, I love the hair. It's my favorite part. Wait, hang on. Gotta save. Very important. We'll put this under Evo is right. Whoops. No! There we go. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Okay, I'm done. Okay, so This feels like a good time to talk about how awful that intro was. Oh, it's not often that I run into this problem. For those of you who know me, I've been analyzing fiction for, oh God, like 15 years now, something like that. And most of the time, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's something I've got, right? You know, you're a mechanic and you see a broken car. It's not easy, but you know what you're doing. It's just like, oh yeah, this, you got it, right? You know what you're doing. But every now and again, you stare at something and it's like Uncanny Valley, but in different specific aspects of narrative design. So, if you asked me, well, what's wrong with the intro you just saw? The short answer is everything. There were very strange decisions constantly. Let me zoom in the camera on a couple of weird ones. There's this weird bit where we're going up to face Solus. We turn around, reach out our hand like it's this big dramatic moment. And then Varric grasps our hand like it's this big dramatic moment. We pull him up. Yeah. Then we turn around. That's strange. There's no need for that extra emphasis on that animation. And yet it was there. For just, they wouldn't even say anything for the scene, which is strange because people won't stop talking in this. It was very bizarre. And the whole intro has been doing weird little things like that. With its animation, with its camera usage, with its special effect, with its music. I'm not going to get into the fact that the way they did Solus was strange. But then, that's my point though, Giga. I know you think I'm being nitpicky, but that's not the point of this. I am pointing out one of 100 things that I saw that are just wrong. The execution is just wrong. One might even use the word rushed. Did you notice the fact that every single encounter, there was another bit of canned dialogue? And I say canned because I can't remember a single thing any of them said for the canned dialogue sequences. It was all the completely generic, okay, here comes another one, you know, kind of a thing, right? There was nothing there. Did you notice how Varric specifically calls out and says his exact strategy he's going to use? I'm going to give Solus the option that he thinks he needs to back down, and then he didn't. He just goes up and says, people are gonna die. What you're doing is wrong. And Solus is like, yeah, it's not a convincing argument. And then Varric, of course, doubles down and says the exact same argument. The second scene they have. What? I Yeah, Varric is a bard, for God's sakes. He's known for being the voice and knowing how to talk through and around someone. And he knows Solus, and Solus respects him. He's literally the storyteller. Did you notice how they kept trying to... So, one of the things I talk about is pacing. Someone smarter than me once described bad pacing. Because good pacing is kind of hard to pin down. But bad pacing is like a slinky. Bear with me for a second. You know what a slinky is? No, none of you do. Of course not. So you've got the slinky, right? And it's bunched up at some sections, and it's stretched out in others. And it's just doing this, right? That's bad pacing in a nutshell. Not the variance between fast and high intensity, or high intensity, low intensity, but just this weird, inconsistent mess where things are simultaneously too rushed and too dragged out. I know this sounds strange, but I think that intro could have been better served if it was maybe 30 minutes quicker, give or take. And I wasn't really sitting around it. I thought about pausing several times to just sit and talk about it, but I wanted to go through the whole thing and really, get the whole chunk of what the game considers the opener until we got to the title screen in one chunk. And I wanted to see that in one chunk because I wanted you to experience what I was experiencing with this bizarre thing where they're trying to just cram. Like, you could feel them trying desperately to fling all the plot points out and then immediately terminate them as quickly as they possibly could. But the thing still took too long. Inquisition. Have I played Inquisition? When I played Inquisition. Sorry, I thought this said, have I played Inquisition? Why don't I just go to myself here? Because I actually recently touched up that review to make sure it was properly annotated. Dragon Age Inquisition. There it is. Let's look at the intro. So, I did only give one negative to the intro for Inquisition on the story axis. It was for pacing and exposition. There's two other things I want to talk about. The whole... I'm going to go against the grain here and say that cereal is not a soup. But in addition to that, I also want to say that I don't mind as much as most people do when games genre hop, right? The example of this is actually appropriate because it's Mass Effect 2, which is fundamentally a different game from Mass Effect 1. It is far more a shooter with some RPG elements attached on instead of an RPG with some shooter elements attached on, right? And anybody can tell the difference between Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 just like that, just from looking at them. So I don't mind that, but you do have to do something good with it. So I was going through this, and the first thing that bothered me, and I'm sure a lot of you had the same reaction, either watching me or when you played this game for the first time, which was, this isn't Dragon Age. Because it isn't. Like, this is a poor man's Call of Duty. And I'm going to say it that way because I've played good Call of Duty, and I've played bad Call of Duty, and I know the difference. So I was like, ugh, and there was just that immediate, like knee-jerk reaction of, what is this nonsense? And I had to take a moment and push past that and be like, okay, hold on. Let's take it on its own. Let's actually look at it and be like, how is it doing with regards to what it's doing? But that leads me to the problem, is because it really is a poor man's Call of Duty. I'm going to keep saying Call of Duty specifically, because it's about... and not the combat. Ignore the combat for a second. Focus on the weirdly choreographed corridor fest. Focus on how it would force you to do not quite jumping puzzles, but you have to hit F to progress in order to go over a knee-high fence at a certain point. Or how the camera keeps kind of pushing you this thing, or it keeps, like, there's big actiony stuff happening in all directions to try and distract you from the fact that nothing's actually going on. Like, you see it, right? You could feel that. You could feel that vibe. When we were escaping through Minrathous was probably... yeah, balancing the... everything there was so aggressively scripted that it actually pushed me out of the narrative. Pushed me out of the moment. And again, this is why I say bad Call of Duty. Because good Call of Duty can pull off this kind of moment and really nail it. Modern Warfare 1, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 1R. That's kind of it. That's about the list. But bad Call of Duty just feels like you're on a Disney ride where the game isn't doing what it needs to earn the moment. It's not pulling me into the moment. Yeah, Plutoniac, that's a great example of that. Let me jump down to pause one thing about it. There's always a pause I want to mention here. It's not the too much in medias res, because in medias res can work, right? Drop us in. We're obviously an experienced veteran. Okay, I'm actually with that. First thing to do. The first thing we see about our character is we are a badass. And we can be a badass with our fists or a badass with our voice. I wanted to fight, by the way. And then, so when the dialogue option popped up, I hit 1 for the dialogue option on the left, which meant I obviously talked my way through the situation. Now, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. But I'm just pointing out that the first dialogue option in the game, I ran into that numbering problem I've already complained about. Anyways, so we establish ourselves pretty quickly. That's fine. All of the animation is weird, but okay, whatever. I should jot that down, by the way. That is definitely, I think we'll call that an interface problem, because that's a weird decision. So we're a badass. We're already connected to Varric. Okay, you know what? I'm with that. We're his second in command. Good way to establish a new character, especially for people who are returning players. Someone who's new to the franchise is looking at this and like, okay, we're an XO who knows what we're doing. We're the Vader. Cool, I'm with that. Returning players are like, oh, okay, we're the one that Varric trusts to get stuff done. Cool, I'm with that too. Nice establishment. I'm with that. And then we get, I want to say about 20 feet outside before everything goes to hell. And how many of you have seen me stream Modern Warfare 3? Because there was nothing I was getting more the vibe of than that during the entire Minrathous section. For those of you who haven't, don't. It's a terrible game. I'm never reviewing it. I've reviewed Modern Warfare 1. I've reviewed Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 3 can go to hell. It's a crap game. Made by different devs, as it happens. Yeah, the Modern Warfare 3 Stellaris stream. That's the one. It felt very... dangling the keys in front of the player. Like, I could see the beginnings of several things they could have done, and they didn't. Like, there's some random thing where the woman gets seen, and, oh, no, okay, there goes the rift open, and, oh, God, demons are coming out, and, oh, no, the train's being busted up, and, okay, the thing's coming down again, and, all right, now there's this other demon showing up, and now we gotta run this way, and, okay, we figured out where the entrance is. Nothing indicates how we know that entrance is there. We're just gonna know that this is the spot. Okay, we found it. All right, and there's the shield thing, and we found the shield thing, and the shield person is like, hi, I'm here to establish myself, and by the way, I have terrible voice direction. And then, okay, she charges out, and then we go down, and it's like, all right, and we go the only way we can go, by the way. Oh, my God. And then, I'm talking about it right now, Lord. This is all about the tone. No, no. Yeah, there's this giant flashlight on one. What does that mean? I don't know. Okay. Okay, so we go down, and then we and I was expecting like there's this mural on the wall, and you probably noticed I actually went to the mural several times. Like, hey, what's this? What's this? Nothing was there. Okay, so I just moved on, and this is about when the dialogue started to get to me, by the way, because the dialogue is very baby's first pass at dialogue. This is much easier to break down for me because I have way more experience as an editor and a writer than I do at everything else. I've been doing that for more than 10 years. So there's just... I could break it down line by line. That would require going back through and actually analyzing individual lines. But each individual character kept saying things that were unnecessary. Didn't add anything. Like, let me talk about that. Dialogue is a tool. It's there to do something. The dialogue has to accomplish something. It doesn't have to be something big. It doesn't have to have some big plot significance or relevance, but it has to be doing something. It cannot just be filling the air. If a dialogue is filling the air, that's padding. It is empty text. And so we're going through this whole section, and they just keep saying things that don't indicate anything, don't tell us something we don't already know, and in many cases deliberately repeat things that we have just heard within the last few minutes. And then, oh my God, and then they do that thing where they don't know how to write banter, and you can tell they don't know how to write banter. And so they're like not quite riffing off of each other. Like, good banter is excellent, if I could just be pulled. And in fact, a lot of BioWare games tend to have really excellent banter. You know a BioWare game that has good banter? Mass Effect 3. A game I have infamously pissed on many times, still has legitimately actually good banter in it. Especially between, just to name a random example off the top of my head, Tali and Garrus. Oh yeah, Morgan and Alistair back in Dragon Age Origins. Another one. How about How about Win and Shale? There's another good banter combo. Yeah, Inquisition also had excellent banter. It's a shame it was bugged, but it was great. Yeah, Isabella and Meryl, Dragon Age Shoot, another excellent example. So I just hear these yahoos not bantering at each other. And then we find the mirror, and someone actually had, and there's a line of dialogue that I specifically made a point to remember, which was, "This must be the mirror you said you saw." Now I got to talk about that for a bit because I know this sounds like a really weird thing to zoom in on, but this right here says so much about how much these developers were under the gun and working under terrible conditions and not coordinating with each other. Because let's frame the scene, okay? We walk up to a big, fairly open window, which we can just see. There's some grates in the way, but we can see right through it. And there's a really big, 2-story tall mirror over there that's glowing, okay? So we see it, we comment on it. Everyone else also sees it because they're right behind us. Because it's this giant glowing thing through an open window. Everyone in the universe can see this. A blind person walks in and sees the mirror. And then we walk down here and say, "Oh, this must be the mirror you said you saw earlier." This is lack of coordination. The people writing this dialogue and the people who set up the scene literally crafted the arena, if you will, and put up the level to put it. And oh, yeah, also changed the size of the friggin' thing. These people did not talk to each other. And the moment I saw that, I was just like, gotcha. I really hope that's not indicative, but that's what we're in for, isn't it? So then we get to the big, it's like, and we get to the place, and that's like, oh my god, I know exactly which forest this is, which was certainly a line. And just this is when I think Bregwin at this point popped out and mentioned how first pass a lot of this dialogue was, because it's just like, I'm sorry, what? Because a lot of the dialogue started to get worse the moment we went through the Illuvian, if you could actually believe that. And this is where the banter, I started tuning it out because it was just... It's also when I agree, I turn up the enemy health. I might turn it up again another notch. We'll see. We'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah, no, exactly, Anosians. You get it. It's just... And then there's the Varric. I've already complained about the Varric scene. Varric is like, I'm going to go convince Solus, and then does nothing to convince him, and actually does, like, rolls a 2 on his charisma check. And then decides to reach for the dagger? What? And then there was that thing where I mentioned, we're mages, right? So I want to mention why I talked about that. Obviously, you all put out the smuggler thing, and you're absolutely correct. And you are absolutely correct. That's why we both shoved the thing down, is because we were a smuggler. I have to explain that briefly for those of you who haven't seen my Tor run. First of all, go watch my Tor run. It's awesome. So in Star Wars The Old Republic, which is an MMO, you can be a Jedi Knight of tremendous power, a Consular of tremendous power, an Inquisitor of tremendous power, a Sith Warrior of tremendous power, an agent with a gun, or a smuggler. I also missed Bounty Hunter on that list, and Trooper. The thing is, they don't know what class you are. And there's an MSQ, which stands for Main Story Quest, throughout the course of most of the expansions. So they have to make each scene work no matter what class you are. And it gets really silly. Because in some cases it makes perfect sense, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but like there's some scenes where it makes perfect sense, where it's like, haha, yes, I am the supremely powerful Sith Inquisitor with the knowledge and skill of however many dozens of people. Or you're a smuggler. And it ruined a lot of scenes, especially the further into the game we got, because it got stranger and stranger that we're doing galaxy-affecting events and changing the course of empires because we're a smuggler. So the reason that the two of us were just charging into it and trying to physically shove the pillar out of the way was because they don't know what class we are, which is even dumber because there's a second layer to this, which is even worse. Layer number 2. She's a mage. Neve is a mage. She even says that. But you don't know if she's there. I bet you didn't even think about that, right? They don't know what class we are, and they don't know what class our companion is. Think about if that was Harding. No offense to her. So we could be a rogue, and she could be a Harding, and so yeah, Neve could have been a smuggler. They didn't know who was there in the scene. And naturally, because of the 18-month problem we already talked about, they couldn't possibly do, what is it, like 4 different combinations or whatever to make that work. So instead, they're just like, they just shove into the thing. And I have a feeling that's going to be a running trend. Then, one last complaint. Actually, 2 last complaints, excuse me. So first of all, they kill off Varric. No! Varric. No. Oh, Varric's dead. Anyways, Varric's fine. What's funny is I don't like either of those things. Killing off Varric early off would honestly have been a very stupid move. I'm just going to be as blunt about this as I can. Ignore the fact that he's a beloved character. Let's just you can kill a beloved characters. I'm cool with that. We can kill beloved characters. It's fine. It's fine. You don't do it in the first 20 minutes in order to establish you're not villain. Because you notice the game's already made it clear that we're pulling an Inquisition again, and Solus is not the main villain, right? It's Generico A and Generico B. I've already forgotten their names. Solus actually told me, but I forgot them. Don't do that. Second problem, Varric's fine. So you have the big dramatic dumb moment, and then you undo it immediately, which would make sense if that was one of the original ideas, or maybe it wasn't, depending on which iteration of the game we're going through. And remember, we are reasonably certain there are 4 different versions of this game that existed before the final version came out. No, he did actually say their names specifically. I was actually paying attention. I just didn't reserve them, because like if it's the apostrophes. My mind just slides off apostrophes when I read them. You say El Claria Vigarigo, and I'm just like, what? No, it's Bob. Oh, Bob, yeah. Yeah, I know exactly killing you. It's just, what? No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. That's the point. And then, last complaint. I said, I swear I'll let this go. Last complaint is that then Solus pulls a, I wasn't the bad guy this whole time. Even though literally everything about me and everything I've been doing, including in the previous game and especially in this one, has portrayed me as an unrepentantly evil person who desperately wants to murder people all the time. No, actually, it was cool. I had this whole other thing going on. It's probably not that cut and dry, Giga. But as of right now, it is that cut and dry. This is not unfair. This is the intro. This is the hook. This is what the game is doing. I'm going to be exactly as harsh as I want to here. You know why? Because this is the intro. This is the part of the game that's supposed to sell me. Not the part of the game I'm supposed to endure to get to the good part. No, everything about that cutscene made it very clear that Solus is like, no, I'm totally cool. I'm totally not. I had a plan, okay? I had a plan. I had this whole other thing going on. Which means it would have made perfect sense if he had turned to Varric and said that, hey, Varric, I've got a plan. It's okay. I'm not killing people. No, you know what he says? You know what he actually says? He says, people die all the time. That's what they do. That's not the kind of line that you say if you're trying to portray... Like, it's not the kind of line you put into a character's mouth unless you're trying to portray them as horrifically evil. It's that particular brand of uncaring. It's the villain line. It's the thing you do when you're trying to make someone sound evil. It is actually kind of a bad line because it is so generically evil, right? Which is a disservice to Solus, a character I have never liked. I've never liked Solus. But he's a good character. in Inquisition. He is an in-depth character with layers and complexities and a great voice actor. And they did some great stuff with him. I gave him multiple positives in Inquisition because he deserved them. So Varric, so this is kind of a 1-2 punch, because Varric was an idiot in that scene, and then Solus was an idiot in that scene, and then we flip it around and Varric's fine and Solus is totally with us. Now I'll tell you exactly what happened, and I will tell you exactly what happened, because I can predict this. I can see the format and structure of it right now. The mission we just did was not originally the intro. Probably end of Act 1, I would say. You put a gun to my head and made me guess. I would say end of Act 1. And that was supposed to be the big moment at which we defeated the tutorial villain, which was going to be Solus, and then introduced the new villains, which were Bob and Bob 2. And yeah, exactly. This is the closing of the tear, to use the Inquisition equivalent. You can probably see it, right? If you zoom out a little bit, look at it. Look at the structure of the events. Look at the sequences of what happened. And Varric was probably supposed to stay dead. And Solus was probably either supposed to leave the narrative completely or be restructured into a different format, like a unwitting ally kind of a thing, right? And then we were going to go ahead and go on with Act 2. Instead, it's the first hour of the game. This explains almost everything that I've been complaining about, other than the rushed writing. That's just its own thing. But this explains almost everything I've been having wrong tone-wise with this entire sequence. Now, I should save the game. Oh, wait, there's no reason to. I love the hair, though. Love the hair. Check out the hair. Oh, yeah, check out the hair. Yes, please. Oh, yeah, that reminds me. There's this really bad habit that I have. That I have a lot of charisma and a lot of authority in how I talk. That's because I have a lot of confidence in a lot of my opinions and how I state them. Now, that's a bad thing, because it means other people have a tendency to not disagree with me unless they do so vitriolically. Please be willing to say your disagreeing opinions. Don't keep it quiet, right? Don't feel shy. Don't feel in the corner. Don't pull an Evo. Don't do that. I want to hear people's perspectives and opinions. If I didn't, I would be streaming this. I would do this off camera. Ugh, pineapple on pizza? What? Can I find any positives? I've actually found several. First of all, I do actually think the music is good. Second of all, the difficulty options are phenomenal. I'm actually really happy with that. I do agree the cosmetic thing is actually really quite good. Varric is fantastic, as he usually is, and I agree that the brickwork of the intro probably deserves a double, because everything I saw about Minrathous and everything I saw about the area around the ritual site was legit. Would have been a nice end of Act 1 kind of thing. And the hair! Oh my god, the hair! The hair! Any other positives can I come up with? Because you probably mean narrative positives. Let me think about that for a second. You know what? Actually, yeah. The very, very, very first scene. The actual opening where... Not the cutscene, but like when we show up and someone's been thrown out of the bar and it cuts to us immediately and we're like, so... Yeah, the bar scene. The bar scene. Good scene. Unabashedly. I actually have no notes about that. That is a good scene. I am going to look up a video of the fight of that at some point in time. Now, hang on. I actually didn't write down 2 donations there. So one was from Off the Deeper End for FF4, FF7R1, and WoW Midnight. The other one was from Spartan J42, and that one is for Prime Hunters, Dead Space R, and Homeworld. Thank you both of you. I did not notice how many months. That was an unremarkable number. I don't see anything noteworthy about that number. I did like the Archon Palace shooting at the Pride Demon. I haven't decided yet what I think of the new demon models. You know me, I don't care if you change the visuals. I like Mega Man Zero as much as the next person. Nobody in chat's going to get that. But I haven't decided if I like the new visuals yet. Because that's the catch. I don't care too much if you change them. I care if they look good. And I'm like... And that's my answer is... we'll see. I haven't seen the Darkspawn, that's true. Okay, here we go. So, Soulless Rook dialogue when Varric gets mentioned. He hesitates when he sees Varric, and he stabs him. He sees the gods and looks scared. The mocap is cool, better. Environment's amazing. I like the demon designs. I like Harding's look. I actually disagree with that one. And Varric's look. Varric's fine, I guess. I don't have any negative to give Varric. He's just, I don't know. The Pride Demon was pulled there to the Soulless' ego. I did like that line. I'll actually agree with that. I also agree with Soulless. There was some stuff for Soulless there, which I agree. So I'll kind of jot this down here. Soulless question mark, and we'll see where that goes. Because I also have to give a negative for, you know, Soulless. Right before that. Thank you for speaking your mind. Oh. And this is the reason, so I want to share one last thing. For those of you who are relatively new to me, I have a pretty long-standing rule, which I have done nothing but reconfirm hundreds and hundreds of times. And that's called, there are two parts of your work that matter most, especially when it comes to a video game. Your intro and your outro. Now, what is defined as this is actually kind of variable. How long the intro is, how long the outro is, what qualifies, debatable. But you want to nail both ideally. You want the intro to be really solid because it's your player's first introduction to the game. You want them to want to keep playing. A bad intro just pushes them out. On the outro side, just to continue talking about this, for an outro, you need to nail the outro because it's going to be the last thing the players remember. It's going to be the thing that sticks in their head the most. A bad outro will make people remember the bad outro and ignore the entire rest of the game. How many of you, right now, off the top of your head, can think of a given game, other than Mass Effect 3, where the game is good, but the outro's bad, and what tends to stick in the mind is the bad outro? I should probably mention in my experience that most games have a bad outro. Game of Thrones is actually a great example of that. Dragon Age 2 is a great example of that. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is a great example of that. You want to hook your players, and you want them to like it, though. Well, it depends, doesn't it? Like, what is the outro? Depends. Usually, the closest thing to a standard is last dungeon, last boss, ending. That's about as standardized as we get. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. It depends on the format of the game. Chrono Cross. Oh, Chrono Cross is so much of an example of that. Because for years upon years, and we covered this just last year, for actual decades, people have done nothing but talk about the last 30 minutes of Chrono Cross. I'm being slightly exaggerative, but only slightly. It is the thing everyone talks about. It is the stuff that everyone brings up. When you talk about Chrono Cross, they talk about those last 30 minutes. And it really is about 30 minutes. It's after the final dungeon, there's a big old chunk of exposition, and then the final boss, and then the ending. And those three pieces right there, that's all everyone talks about with Chrono Cross. It's insane. And yeah, obviously Mass Effect 3, the game that literally launched my career, is a good example of this, where people were just talking about the outro. It's another good example of that. Like, when does Mass Effect 3's outro start? I argue that it starts the moment you hit Earth. So the Earth section, and then the crawl through the Citadel, final confrontation with the Elusive Man, and then the dumb scene, and then the endings. All one of them. And yeah, exactly, Kid Viper. You need to have... So, sorry, we're talking outros. Let's move outros out for a second. Intros are just as important. Intros are very, very important because you want the intro to be something that nails it, right? It doesn't even have to nail it in the best way. It doesn't have to be the best part of the game. Some people have this really horrible thing where they think that you need to have a big, flashy... Evo, are you there? Because you mentioned this advice you got recently, which I vehemently disagreed with. Look, look, Atelier Sophie... God, it's been a while since I played that game. Okay, so you remember that advice, Evo? I don't remember the advice. I don't remember the specific wording. It was something like you need to have a hook, you need to have conflict, I think was it, right in the intro. And I remember disagreeing with that because, well, I understand... Hang on, that sounds like a weird sentence. Let me try that again. Some people think that the intro is important, and they're right. So they think that the best possible thing to do is be as loud and brash and exciting as possible with the intro. And in my experience, that ruins so much. My favorite example of this is actually an episode of TNG. Hear me out for a second. There's an episode of TNG where they're like, Captain's log, starting 84326.55326578732543.1. And, oh my god, Worf is sick! No! Medical emergency to the bridge. Cut to black. Has nothing to do with anything. The episode has nothing to do with that whatsoever. Yeah, Fallout 4 is actually another example of doing what I'm talking about badly. Too many people think that an intro being big has to be... Yeah, no, really, I'm not actually making this up. Too many people think that the intro has to be this big, flashy, dynamic thing without thinking about what that might mean or how to grow that naturally out of the narrative you already have constructed, right? And so it's like... And you can quote me on that, word for word. And that tends to lead to nonsense. Fallout 4 is actually probably a much better example of this. Fallout 4 is such a bad way to do an intro. For those of you who haven't played Fallout 4, let me run you through this really quick. So you start off, and you actually have what I would consider the only good part about the Fallout 4 intro, which is you're in the pre-war society, and you get a moment to just walk around and talk to your wife and play with your kid, and oh my god, the bombs are falling. And so you run up to the bunker. We've got to get to the bunker in time. And then we get to the bunker, and the bomb goes off and just barely misses us by just a few inches, and you've already lost me. We have literally outrun a nuclear detonation and dodged the wave of destruction from a nuke by a few inches. You have already lost me as of that moment in time. But then it gets worse. Now I'm going to skip over a few steps because the intro of Fallout 4 is, weirdly enough, way too long. But then there's this wonderful bit where you go out into the town and you get to what is more like the actual proper intro. So you're out in the town, you're doing a thing, and they're like, oh my god, there's a death claw. The first major enemy you fight in the entire game is a freaking death claw. For those of you who don't actually understand what that means, death claws are the top of the food chain. They're right below like albino rad scorpions, okay? They're these huge, gigantic death dooms who are supposed to be endgame enemies. So that's the first thing you fight. It's okay. They give you a power armor and you kill it in seconds with a minigun. Power armor is also something that's usually reserved for endgame. Yeah, it's the Korean MMO problem. This is terrible. This is an awful intro because it's doing the exact same thing I was just talking about that this game also just did. So to bring this back on topic a little bit. You just start off, bam! Now, some games can pull this off, but some games don't. And yeah, this kind of intro can work because there's this concept called a taste of power. I actually am rather in favor of tastes of power. A taste of power is here's what the gameplay is going to be like eventually, and then they depower you, so you have to re-earn it. Right? Sense make. Okay, that I can actually work. Yeah, God of War did that. Lufia 1 did that. Deus Ex Mankind Divided did that. Castlevania Symphony of the Night did that. Dragon Age 2 did that. You can do a taste of power and that can work. That's not what this is. And that's not what Fallout 4 was. Which FF has the best intro that isn't too bombastic? I mean, 6. So let's skip 6 for a second, because that's the cheating answer. Off the top of my head, because I haven't reviewed most of the FFs at this point, I'm thinking 4 as well. 4 has a... So FF4 isn't a perfect game, but its intro absolutely nails it. I have sat people down who have never experienced an FF before and let them watch the intro to FF4, and they're hooked like that. It is an excellent intro. Yeah, it establishes everything, doesn't go too far in any direction. It's actually quite compact in its overall thing, but there's a lot of depth to it. And it's just bam. I also agree with Darksiders. FF10 is weird because FF10 has like 3 intros. And each one of them is like a new, totally distinct intro. It's very strange. FF7 and 9, FF7, 8, and 9 all have very long intros, but we're getting a little bit off topic here. Because 7's intro, I argue, doesn't end until you leave Midgar. Whereas 8's intro doesn't end until the end of the... I can't remember what it's called. The mission. The first major mission you do. And 9's doesn't end... That's debatable, actually. But at the very least, until you get the forest. I would argue it's not until you get to the ice cavern, personally. But that's just me. 13's intro was trash. We're not going to talk about that. Dalit, thank you. The Dalit mission. And like I said, FF10's is just strange, because FF10's is like, you have the intro in Zanarkand, and then you have the intro in the ruins, and then you have the intro in Besaid. Took me a moment, sorry, I'm really tired. Then you have the intro of Besaid. Then you have the intro leading up to the temple, and that's like the final intro. Boom, 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 boom. But each of those, I'm not even joking, each of those is its own distinct intro. It's very weird. Ocarina has a fantastic intro. A lot of core Nintendo games tend to have really good intros. Go figure. And yeah, Ocarina of Time is a fantastic example of that. Anyways, I'm getting a little bit off topic here. The point I'm trying to reach is that I think this is a pretty bad intro. I'm going to spend some time off camera polishing my thoughts here and looking over those lists, because you notice I was taking notes as I went, but a lot of those are kind of... I'm going to be pulled off to dinner in like 5... I can literally hear the kiddos over there. Tomorrow, we'll get past the intro. Maybe we're still in the intro. I don't know. It feels like we're out of the intro. But I'll see you there either way.